This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, and the great viewers of the Hannibal TV wanted me to give my thoughts on various wrestlers I've worked with over the years. One of them that's come up a few times is Kamala, the Ugandan giant, who I've worked with as a promoter, a wrestler, and a shoot interviewer. He was one of the wrestlers I was actually afraid of when I was a young kid. I remember having a few nightmares about him, feuded with the likes of Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, The Undertaker, had some big feuds. He said over the years that he didn't really make much money in wrestling, particularly in later years in WCW. But I do know he has said on record his SummerSlam 92 pay was $10,000, which is less than what The Undertaker was paid, but that's still a good chunk of change. And when we used him in Great North Wrestling, that would have been in 2007. He charged $750 per appearance. So he also would sell pictures, so he definitely made money, maybe not as much as the wrestlers today make, where they don't even have to draw and they can make millions and millions of dollars. They're highly overpaid overall today with these huge TV contracts. But I do believe he made a decent amount of money. He just probably didn't save it as good as he could have. He does live in a trailer now, and I did do my shoot interview with him at his trailer, but it's actually an extended trailer on a large piece of property. So the property he lives on is actually fairly nice. It's maybe 5 or 6 times the size of like the land that I live on. But it is, of course, in Mississippi, where it's a lot cheaper to live. He is in a wheelchair now. He has diabetes. His shoot interview was one of my most disappointing shoot interviews, not because he didn't do a good job in it, but because of his diabetes, and it was really hot the day I was there. And he lives in the trailer. He could not turn off his air conditioner. And when I was there, I'm no video expert, okay? I'm getting better as time goes on. But when I was actually at his house, I didn't realize how loud the sound of the air conditioner was, and it showed up in the shoot interview. So if there's one shoot interview I really want to redo, it would be the Kamala one for that reason, because I was a fan of him, and I did feel bad about that. When he wrestled for Great North Wrestling, it was only one time against Lanny Poffo, who he defeated in that match. And the next night, he wrestled me for a different company in a town called Cornwall, Ontario, where I defeated Kamala. Very easy guy to work with. Nice guy in real life overall. My dealings with him are great. When I went over to his house to do the shoot interview with him and his wife, who's also very nice, had like purchased a big platter of food for us to snack on before and after the shoot interview, and as well as a box of donuts. He definitely, his original name was Sugar Bear Harris, and he definitely seems like the type of guy that likes his sugar. But the donuts were good. I have to admit, I'm a big donut fan, and they were delicious. Really nice guy. I hope he gets in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's one of the guys I don't think they're going to put him in until he's dead. Yes, he was in the concussions lawsuit that has been dismissed, but so was Sylvain Grenier, who is now an agent for WWE. So some of the people like Sylvain from La Resistance, they've forgiven. Mind you, that might have to do with Pat Patterson. Maybe they hold something against Kamala too, because he's openly said that the Brooklyn Brawler, who played Kimchi when he was in WWE, had a thing with Pat Patterson. So maybe they hold a grudge against him for that. He did receive a Cauliflower Alley Club award last year, and I covered last year's 2019 Cauliflower Alley Club banquet. If you search that up on the Hannibal TV, the full banquet video. But overall, I really like Kamala, and I hope that I'll be back in the Memphis area one day. He lives about 45 minutes from Memphis, and I'll get to visit him again and redo the shoot interview now that I know that the air conditioner is really going to screw up the sound. Maybe I'll come at a cooler time of year. Adrian Smith says, yo. Richard Mintz says, hey. Kevin Wynn says, working for Fritz probably wasn't too profitable. He did discuss that in the interview. Fritz, I don't think he minded his time with Fritz. He did say Andre the Giant was racist. He did not like Andre the Giant. He carried a gun, a small revolver, to the ring when he wrestled Andre the Giant. Jared Diggs says the Ugandan headhunter, the mighty Kamala. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He definitely should be. You think of Kamala, you think of his time in WWE. At least I do. And that toy. I remember being a kid seeing that Kamala toy on the toy store shelves. And it just stood out because he was such a unique character. And people can laugh and say, oh, that was a silly character. But he played it so well, and it was before the internet, that it was easy to suspend your disbelief with that character. Hurricane Mavericks is any news from that yellow-haired freak Cody Rhodes? Not yet, but I have some plans for that guy next week. Wrestling Newscast says he recommends my channel's interview with Kamala. Thank you, Wrestling Newscast. Jared Diggs says Kimchi used to be called Friday. Yes, that's true. At one point, he was called Friday. And who could forget when Kamala was managed by the Reverend Slick and they turned him babyface and everyone would chant, "You are a man." And then the angle just kind of ended with no blow-off. It was weird. I was surprised that they never really had a blow-off. By the way, Kamala really didn't like Eric Bischoff. Did not like Eric Bischoff. He said Bischoff avoided talking to him in WCW, and it was mostly Hulk Hogan that brought him into WCW. But he said the pay there was actually lower than independent wrestling pay. Long Duck Dong, tip me $2. And says, do I feel the N-word will ever stop in wrestling? I think to my knowledge, it's not used anymore since that Kevin Owens Excalibur angle. I don't think people really use that word. I think there's better ways of getting heat. Way better ways of getting heat than that. The Rye Dog says Kamala and George Steele was an awesome match. I might have to look that up. But I'll cut it at that. Kamala's a great guy. Love him. I defeated him too. He didn't make my list of top 10 victories that I put out yesterday, which I highly suggest all of you watch, because I do have a more impressive list of people I have defeated, legends in the wrestling business, than any other of these contenders that the American Chicken Cody Rhodes has fought on AEW Dynamite so far. And I also have a lot of legends that want to see that match happen. And those legends might become outspoken if he continues to ignore me. And as I said, you don't have to put your title up. Taylor Hendricks will be with me. Billy Graham can be in our corner. Arn Anderson, who's put on so much weight, he's hardly even recognizable anymore. He can be in yours and Brandy's corner. I'm not saying I want to fight Brandy. It can be a mixed tag, girls against girls, guys against guys. You don't have to put your title on the line, but you're going to get your ass kicked. And I didn't want to go into a tirade on Cody Rhodes, the American Chicken. People just brought it up. So sorry about that, Kamala. I know that you didn't get along that well with Dusty, and people can watch the shoot interview to know why. But I don't want to bring that into my feud with Cody, because Kamala's dealings with Dusty were decades ago, and we're like 30 years later now. That has nothing to do with Cody. Have a good night, everybody.